What is going on YouTube? Twitchy Tango here, and we're getting close to the end. Like all good things must come to an end. This is the case for this series, Road to Resident Evil 4 Remake. We are in, if I'm not mistaken, part 7, and probably the biggest thing I want to talk about today, the El Gigante in the room, minding his own business till that stupid American comes and kills him. Yeah, maybe Leon is the bad guy the entire time. Just think about it. Leon comes to this village, and people are just minding their own business, and he causes them to go insane and start trying to kill him. Leon's the bad guy. You can't tell me otherwise. Of course, all joking aside, we're talking about the island, the big El Gigante in the room, and we're gonna talk about what I want to see from this remake pertaining to the island. Three things in general that I kind of would like to see. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, and what I think could happen. But without further ado, let's go fight somebody. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Up until like the last 30 minutes, the island is somewhat manageable and fun. You got the regenerators, you got Jack Krauser looking having ass with his massive biceps and his freaking arms and his super speed and his plaga. I mean, it's not terrible. It's actually fun. But then the last 30 minutes happen, and you're like, Jay, come shoot me. Yes, please. That's a reference to your childhood that you've long lain dormant. So yeah, man, I'm not a fan. I don't like the JJs and the chain guns, and I don't. If you like then that section of the island, you're a fake fan, a kid. Honestly, the island isn't terrible, but those last 30 minutes just completely derail an otherwise perfect game. If there's something I could want out of the remake for in this island, because even if you're looking at this highly detailed map of the remake, it doesn't show the island. But of course, that could be just for the fact that the island is off away from the map. So it could be that case that we just don't see the island on the map, and it could be saving it for something. But I honestly, for the island, I'd like them to really dive into the regenerators. Give us like the last section of the island focusing solely on like a sort of Dr. Frankenstein like facility. Frankenstein is not the monster. Dr. Frankenstein is the doctor. Really focus and hone in on like the idea that Sadler's trying to build his army. He's trying to create a bunch of great evils, and he's created so many versions of the Regenerator, and they're all failed. And the only ones two that are pretty much perfect are the ones we face in the original and the Iron Maiden. So those two are generally the peak of what the Regenerators are supposed to be. So you face them as well as a bunch of other broken amalgamations, and then the final section of this new island part is the island itself. You deal with this regenerator who starts merging with all the other failed creations. So you have to destroy him like you would any other regenerator, but you got to hit a bunch of spots, and he's a lot larger and he moves faster. It'd be an interesting way to change up the last section of the game, and I think give it really a more horror focus. Which, even though it's pretty much staying action, it will have a lot more suspenseful moments. But yeah, I really wouldn't mind it. I don't think any of you would mind it either if we just had the island focus on the regenerators. And I think that'd be a great way to really finish the last half of the game. But I generally want to hear what you guys think. Do you think that'd be good? I think it'd be good. I think having regenerators as like a focal point, having this sort of section where the island would be, and it's mainly focusing on the creation of the regenerators and how they came to be and what Sadler's working on. Even more so, have a bunch of failed Ganado experiments that he just tests aside, and you got to fight them as well. I'd honestly be all for that. Get failed experience, sort of like the cut content Ganados. That's what we face on this section that replaces the island, and then we face with all these failed experimentations of the regenerators. Some that can't regenerate, some that can and regenerate too excessively. and have all these mutations going on with them. Same with like Ganados having all these mutations. It'd be an interesting way to change up the last half and not have to deal with JJ the jet planes and freaking chain guns and even at max health get dying like four hits. So I'd be generally want to hear what you guys think. Would you like that? Do you think that concept's pretty cool? Let me know down below and we'll hop on to the next one. So we're kind of going back in time with this one. The airship was a part of the Resident Evil 3.5 originally, and it was replaced with something else. But wouldn't it be fascinating if, like, we took about 2/3 out of the island, before we face Krauser, but after we fight you two, that we get to go on an airship, and most of what the island would take place is on the airship, and it would lead us into this mountaintop area. We face Krauser on the airship, and we don't get to finish him off on the airship because essentially after we do all this traversing through this massive airship, with Ada, and we get to fly towards this mountain area, it crashes. We end up getting separated from Ada, have to find Ada, face Krauser, and then complete the rest of the story like we did originally with saving Ashley, beating Sadler, and I think it'd be an interesting way to implement Resident Evil 3.5's airship, as well as give us a new area to explore in the last half of the game. But that's kind of just something I would be very interested in. I like when it seems almost certainly that they're keeping elements from Resident Evil 3.5 and adding into the game, whether it's how Ashley's outfit looks, whether it's Leon's jacket, or the very blue, murky colors of the game. Instead of the brownish all brown in Resident 4, and it's really good, and I'm very interested with their approach to Resident 4 Remake, especially with how much love and care the director has for the original. But yeah, I think an interesting concept would be creating the airship. Giving the airship, creating a new area, this mountain type facility, not an S3, you filthy degenerates. And allowing us to explore this airship, face a few Ganados, and then end up facing Krauser, and then it crashes, and we still end up facing Krauser, but like in a new mountaintop area, and he still has his Plaga form. Maybe he turns into a bird this time, and he's like, "Caw, caw, look at me, Leon, I am the ultimate life form." That is, in fact, a JoJo reference. But I'd be okay with it. I'd honestly enjoy that. But I'd be interested to hear what you sexy people think. What do you think about that? Would you like to see them reintroduce the airship and introduce a new area for the last half, like a mountain type area, not a jungle area? But I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about that. What do you think? Would you like that? Would you not? Let me know down below, and we'll jump into the next one. Now, this is probably the one thing that's going to get me scared a lot by the Resident Evil community, especially people who like the island. Get wrecked, nerd. I say nerd because it's probably that one person that likes the island. How about we just remove the island? I know what you're thinking. It sounds like a bad idea. It does. It really does. And probably why I'm saving this for last. Remove the island. Give us more time in the other areas and make the castle be the last big moment. Which is, I don't agree with that. But it's something to throw into the Rinka machine and really spruce up the game a bit. I don't think the game's long enough. I want it to be longer. It's gonna be on average about 15 and a half hours, which is why I don't think removing the island could work, because it could otherwise definitely upset the flow of the game. There are certain additions that are being added, such as the Don Juan's house, which only leaves credits that they're going to be fleshing out more of these areas, adding more secrets for us to find. I do have a feeling that we're going to end up going past places like Don Juan's house to unlock doors. But yeah, if we were to remove the island, it would essentially throw off the entire rhythm of the game. You'd essentially have to... I said essentially twice, like a little weirdo. You'd have to make the other section longer, and I don't think it could work. I know some people are afraid that cut content's going to happen. I think there's going to be certain things, like minute things getting cut, but something like the island won't get cut. If anything, I think it's going to get reworked. And that's kind of this video is about, talking about things I feel like they could do better with the island. And that's kind of where I want to say, because if they remove the island, they'd have to make the other sections longer and find some way to round it off in a meaningful way. I do not think the island's going to get cut, but I do feel like it's going to get reworked in a lot of ways. Not in the ways I talked about today, but it will get reworked. And just, I think removing it would help it and not help it. I think it would help it in the way that you'd be able to be in the first two areas longer, castle being the last send off, but also it just depends on, personal preference, what you enjoy. Do you like the island? Do you not? Let me know down below if you'd be okay with them cutting the island, and we'll finish this video off. Listen, it's alright if you like the island. You just can't like that last half that is just absolutely awful. There's nothing I like more out of Resident Evil games than getting shot at by chain guns or miniguns and dying after 4 hits. It just throws off the entire momentum of the game. And again, I don't know a Resident Evil fan who unironically likes the last half of the game. Again, the island isn't bad up until that point. You got things like Krauser, you got the Regenerators, you got Ashley driving a truck. It's got all the makings of a good, stellar section, but it's that last 30 minutes that really just throw a rink in the machine. Or a wrench in the machine. And I very much like there to be some sort of rework, whether it's what we talked about today or something else entirely, because it definitely needs it. I think the last half of the island is the weakest part of the entire game. And it's a blemish on an otherwise perfect game. But honestly, I'd like to hear what you guys think. What would you like to see out of that? Do you want to see some sort of rework for the island? Do you like it the way it is? And if you do, I will shame you. Let me know down below. And if you liked the video, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. And if you're feeling generous, subscribe. And as always, Internet, I love you all. I'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.